This program is brought to you in part by SalCal Real Estate Connections. And yes, welcome to Race in Action Today. We're here today at the Greenwich Concours d'Elegance, and tonight's show will be dedicated to the British automobile industry, and I'm sure you're going to find it very interesting.
Yes, we have William Constant with us, who is part of the family that owns this absolutely gorgeous MG. And I got a feeling, William, you know a little bit about this car.
Yes, I do. I'm pretty much the historian for this car. It was my grandfather's car. He bought it in 1957, 5 years used, for $750, which seems like quite a bargain. And he used it for about 10 years. Thankfully, he was able to use it for the full 10 years because it almost burned up in the Lincoln Tunnel in the summer of '57 because of an aftermarket supercharger. So it hasn't had a supercharger since, as you can imagine. And it was used for about 10 years regularly by my grandmother and my grandfather when they were dating, and then once they got married and had my mother. And then it was sort of garaged from the late 60s on until about 2007. When it was sent to Hibernia Auto Restorations in Hibernia, New Jersey, and given a full frame-off restoration. And now we see it today. And its first show, this is its second show. Its first show that went to was the Scarsdale Concours, where it won Best English Car.
Wow, wow.
Yeah, it's really been a great source of pleasure for the whole family. Everyone loves it. It's sort of unifies the whole family.
It's a 52.
Yes, it's a 52. So it was bought 5 years used.
Now, do you come to this event often or no?
This is the first time we've been in the show with a car, but this is the third time I've attended the show.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, this show is a fantastic event, and to have the privilege to come here, let me tell you, you got to be very proud of this car.
Yes, I'm very proud. When I got the letter saying that I'd be a part of this show, I was so happy and frantically spent 8 hours cleaning it and waxing it and polishing it yesterday.
Yes. Well, it's certainly a pretty car. I have to commend you. You know, we always see these MG-type cars up at Lime Rock, and they always interested us, you know, and everyone who owns them just loves them.
Yeah, we love this car. I've only gotten, since I got my license recently, and I've only gotten a chance to drive it once, but it was only like half a mile down a straight line. It was the most fun I've ever had in a car anywhere.
Well, I'm sure you're going to log some more time in this car in the future. I want to thank you, William. You've been excellent, and I know you from the smile on your face, you're certainly going to enjoy this day today.
Yes, I will. I'm already enjoying it more than I could ever imagine.
All right, thank you. Yes, we have Ron Shotland with us, who owns this absolutely gorgeous XK120 Jaguar. And I got a feeling, Ron, you know a little bit about this car.
Yes, I acquired it as a donor car before the restoration back in 2005. And I've lived through the restoration process for, 2.5 years. And then we let it sit for a while for reasons we won't talk about here right now, but we're showing it now for the first time. This car was a Jaguar Club of North America champion in 2008, and I've really enjoyed working with it.
Well, I'll tell you, the car is gorgeous. Now, was this type of car and this certain model something you always wanted?
Yes, I've always longed for this car. I like the Jaguar E-types also, and I have one of those. But I always wanted one of these as well.
Yeah, I mean, the racing history in these cars is something special, I'll tell you.
Yes. I was less enamored with that. I think what attracted me to this car was the aesthetic beauty of it. The long sloping lines, if you look at the side of the car, you can see what I'm talking about. It's like no other car I've ever seen. in that
Yeah.
respect.
Yeah, they were very popular with people. They are beautiful cars, and of course they're getting harder and harder to come by.
Yes, that's very, very true. Those people who know anything about cars know that all you have to do is just look at these things and they rust. Unfortunately, they weren't taken care of, many of them, over the years. So, although they did make many of them over the years, most of them weren't well maintained and rusted out. And today, you find only a handful of them that really are of the quality that you'd call show quality, let's say.
Yeah, I agree with you. For some reason, back then it was unheard of to coddle a car and keep it under cover all the time. And, they bought these cars to go out in the sun and raise hell and have fun.
Well, I think people that own these kinds of cars today are faced with a dilemma. They're fun to drive, but at the same time, you want to maintain their value, and you want to show them because it's a lot of fun to show the cars. So if you drive the car, then it'll depreciate its value because you'll pick up road chips, and sooner or later the car won't look quite as good as it looks, let's say, now. So do you want to enjoy driving the car, or do you want to enjoy showing the car? You can't have it both ways.
No, it doesn't come both. Although people do it, and they really slave on them for hours and hours after. But you're absolutely right. And we're going to commend you. This car is absolutely gorgeous. I love everything about it, the color of it, the model.
Tell it to the judges.
And I got a feeling that you're certainly going to have some fun with it.
Well, I hope so, and I look forward to it. And thank you for talking with us.
Very good. Pleasure meeting you, Ron.
Okay.
Thank you. You were excellent. Yes, we have Lisa Garcia with us with this absolutely gorgeous MG TF, I might add. And I got a feeling you know a little bit about this car, Lisa.
Just a little bit. What would you like to know?
Now tell me, how did you acquire a car like this?
Well, in about 2008, my husband told me he wanted to restore an MG. I knew nothing about cars, about MGs, let alone a TF. I did research. We finally found this car in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. We rented a trailer, drove down from New York, picked it up, brought it back to our garage in White Plains. Took 2.5 years to restore it ourselves in our garage, and this is the result that you see now.
Well, you're still married. That's a good sign.
Yes, it is.
Now tell me something. Was this particular year or style something you were looking for?
This is exactly what we were looking for. The TFs were only made from 1954 to 1955, so it's very limited. And we also were only looking for right-hand drive, which is actually very rare to find in the United States.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've seen them both ways, but I didn't know whether it was more preference one or the other.
Well, most of the cars that were made, the TFs, were sent to the United States left-hand drive because that's what was preferable from the servicemen that served in the U.S. that went to England and then they came back home. They wanted it left-hand drive. But this car actually, when it was made from the factory, went to either Kenya, Rhodesia, or Australia, and then at some time in its life was exported to the United States, went to Louisiana, Georgia, Pennsylvania, and now in New York.
Wow. It certainly has an interesting history. Now, do you come to this event often?
This is our first time, actually. We don't live that far away, so it was very exciting to come to something so close to home.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, this event is outstanding. We've been here 3-4 times, and when you're invited to come to this event is special.
Definitely, and the caliber of cars is amazing. Just to be here amongst everyone else is a privilege.
Oh, absolutely. I'm like a kid in a candy store. I don't know what to look at next. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's what colors you like, red, green, white, or black.
My wife makes sure my checkbook is always left at home because I could easily get in trouble here.
Thank God there's no for sale signs.
Well, we want to thank you. You've been excellent to talk to. We want to commend you, too. This car is absolutely gorgeous, and I'm sure you're going to have some fun here.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Lisa. You were just
Thank
excellent.
you.
Yes, this little picnic lunch here on the back of the MG that Lisa put together. It really looked just like it was right at home. And I'll tell you, her car was absolutely gorgeous. I mean, they pay attention to detail like I just can't believe. And believe me, it really showed.
Yes, we have Jim Munsell with us, who owns this absolutely gorgeous Morgan Plus 4. And I'll tell you, this car is something special. And I got a feeling, Jim, you know a little bit about it.
Yes, I do. I've had this car about 10 years. I think originally it came from, it was sold in Belgium, new, and ended up in Long Island in the 80s. It was restored in the 80s, changed from the original color, which was British Racing Green, to this color scheme, which was quite common for Morgans of this era, the two-tone with the wings painted one color and the body painted another color. When I got it in 2000, the 1980s finish was a little shot, so I had the car resprayed and then did some other work on the car, and it drives regularly and it's a lot of fun to drive. I had the engine worked on, and it now probably has a lot more power than it had originally when it was on the road. But you know, these cars were made, they made basically the same car for 30 or 40 years, and today they're reintroducing a model that looks similar to this but with modern components, and probably a lot better and more reliable car than these were originally.
Now, does this car have a Triumph motor?
It has a Triumph TR4 engine, which was originally in the Triumph cars. And Morgan never made an engine of their own. They used Ford engines, they used Triumph engines. And when they took this car in the 70s, they made it 4 inches wider, and they put a V8 that they got from Rover, which was the original 1961 Buick Special. V8 engine, aluminum block. And they were still using that in Rovers until a few years ago. And now they use BMW engines.
Yeah, I know they used that engine for a long time, and but I'll tell you, these cars are just a timeless piece of art as far as I...
And the other thing about them is, if you open up the hood of a modern car and you look at it, all you see is a shroud. And the idea of going to work on something like that is very daunting. This, you open it up, there's the carburetors, there's the spark plugs, you know where everything is. And you get yourself a set of wrenches, and you can do a lot of things with them. And you can do a lot of the repairs on them yourself if you have a mind to.
I'll tell you, growing up, I had a very good friend of mine who had one, and I just found the car fascinating, you know, with the wood frame around the body, and you'd be going down the road, and you could literally feel the car flexing.
Exactly. It's like, somebody said, what's it like driving? I said, did you ever ride in an aluminum canoe over rapids, rocks with low water in it? You don't hit the rocks, but every time you go over it, you feel it twist and turn. And you drive this, the front wheel goes over one bump, and it goes like this. It's just like, it feels like that underneath here.
Yeah, I remember them, I'm telling you, like it was yesterday. But I have to tell you, this car is gorgeous, and I have to thank you.
It's a lot of fun. You know, I bought this because I was going to have my Aston rebuilt, and so I said, I got to have something to drive, so I'll just buy something inexpensive. And then I fell in love with this, so I've probably spend more time in this now than I do in the Aston. So.
Yeah, you know, this car is fun to drive. I know.
It's absolutely fun. You're right on. You're right down on the ground. It's right. You know, 6 inches below you is the ground whipping by. Before you know it, you're going 60 miles an hour on nice windy roads, which is a lot of fun.
Now, do you come to this event often?
I usually come every year. I show maybe 2 out of 3 years, but I've been coming since 2004 is the first time I showed, I think.
Yeah, we love this event. I'll tell you. You know, we see things here that are unbelievable. And every year it never ceases to amaze me. You'll always see something that you've never seen.
And it's also not a very high-octane event. You know, it's a very low-key event where, as these things go, because some of these things can be really...
Oh, yeah. Over the top, but this is fun.
Yes, indeed.
And I know by that smile on your face, you're really enjoying this event. Thanks a lot,
Thanks,
Jim.
Jerry. Nice talking to you.
You were excellent.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Yes, we have Andrew Williams with us, who owns this absolutely gorgeous 1957 Bristol AC Ace. And I got a feeling you know a little bit about this car, Andrew.
A little bit. What would you like to know?
Yeah, tell me. I mean, it has a Bristol engine in it, a 4-cylinder.
It's a 6-cylinder engine. It's an engine that's actually based on a pre-war BMW engine. After the war, the Bristol Airplane Company started making cars in England. They needed an engine. They took this engine as war reparations, and they made it a lot better. It's a 2-liter straight 6, puts out 125 horsepower. AC needed an engine for their cars. They were producing these cars with their own engine, but they needed something a little better than what they had, so they offered the Bristol engine as an option.
Now tell me, how many cars would they have sold in 1957 a year?
Oh, gee, I don't know. I know in total from, say, 1955 up till about 1960 or 61, they sold approximately 480 Bristol-engined AC Aces, and I think another roughly 250 AC-engined cars. So it was fairly limited production.
You know, when I was growing up, I had a good friend of mine who actually drove a Morgan, but he had a coupe. He had a Bristol coupe.
Yes, that's known as an Acica.
Yeah. And the thing that fascinated me about that car, this little engine in the car looked like it had room for a huge motor, you know?
That's exactly what Carroll Shelby thought when he looked at the car and decided to bring these over without engines and put Ford V8s in them. Created the Cobra.
Absolutely, and of course the rest is history there, you know. But now, is this body aluminum?
This is handmade aluminum. Entire body is just made by people banging sheets of aluminum over wooden bucks and then welding the sections together. And when these cars were new in this country, they won everything in SCCA. In fact, they got bumped up 2 classes over the years. They'd win the championship, say, in 1956 or 57. People would protest, say, oh, the cars are too fast. They got bumped up the next year. They won everything. Same thing happened. They got bumped up a 3rd year, and they still won.
That's interesting. I never heard that side of this. But I'll tell you, the cars, I mean, this car's beautiful. Do you come here often?
Yeah, I live nearby most years. No, the cars, to me, this is the ultimate post-war British sports car. It's beautiful. It's technologically interesting. It handles really well. It's fast.
Yeah, I see them up at Lime Rock, the Cobra editions mostly, you know, for vintage car events. But it's rare to find a Bristol, you know?
No, you're right. They made fewer of them, and I certainly think it's a prettier car than the big block Cobras anyway, when they started putting the big flares on them and all that.
I agree with you. I liked my version of a Cobra was the 289. It was the small block engine and didn't have that fender stuff going on.
You're right. The small block Cobras are a much prettier car.
And drag racing too, believe it or not. Most of them that drag raced from the factory, especially, they were small block cars.
You're right, they were, and I actually owned another one of these that had a drag race history, surprisingly. I found out after I owned the car. A man on the West Coast sent me a letter with some pictures of his car with NHRA trophies all over the hood. Apparently, in the 50s, they had a 2-liter sports car class.
Wow, that's special, huh?
Very.
Well, I'll tell you, Andrew, I want to thank you for talking with us. And really commend you. The car's gorgeous. And judging by that smile on your face, you certainly are having a good time.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You were at the first.
I will say this. This Bristol Ace was just absolutely gorgeous. And I could see Carroll Shelby's why he had picked this car to produce the Cobras. It was just beautiful.
Yes, we have Joe and Scott Hansen with us with this absolutely gorgeous Jaguar. And I got a feeling, Scott, you know a little bit about this car.
Yes, it's a 1948 Jaguar Mark IV drop-head coupe, which approximately 560 were produced in left-hand drive 3.5 liter.
And how did you acquire this car?
We actually went to go look at a Mark V drop head coupe in South Jersey, and come to find out the gentleman had a barn full of 44 cars. This was tucked in the corner with parts piled on top of it, and we fell in love and decided to buy this one instead.
Now tell me.
Well, I have two sons. Scott is the one who really likes to work on the cars, and we work together most every day. Now he's bought another car. Now we'll be working again together on restoring that car.
So it'll be your turn now.
It's my turn. He had his turn helping me. Now I have to help him.
Well, very good. Now tell me, Scott, do you come to this event often?
I've been here in the last 3 or 4 years, usually as a spectator. This is the first time we've shown a car here. We did try to come down last year, and we had mechanical problems, and we were able to come back this year without any faults.
Now tell me, how big is the engine in this car?
It's a 3.5 liter, 6-cylinder with twin SU carburetors.
Yeah, we've seen these cars on occasion. We don't see them often, I'll tell you. You know, we see other types of the models, but I don't see this car often. Is it a real rare car?
There are only about 560 of the convertible styles. We've gone to Jaguar shows, and they haven't known what class to put us in, because a lot of people do focus on the 120s and the XKEs. They're really not familiar with the pre-war styling cars.
Yeah,
there aren't many out there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We don't come across them that often, but I have to commend you. This car is absolutely gorgeous. I'm sure you're going to do well here today, but I think you're going to have more fun more than anything.
We think we'll do well. We hope we do well, and we are having a great time.
Well, I want to thank you, Joe, for having a word with us.
Thank you.
And you too, Scott.
Thank you very much.
And hopefully we'll see you on down the road.
Great, thank you.
Take care. You were great. Thanks a lot, Joe.
We could certainly see Joe and Scott's attraction to this car. I'll tell you, when I come to this Greenwich Concours d'Elegance, I just don't know what I'm going to see next. And believe me, the caliber of this car really shows what is here. It was just as pretty as can be and correct. As we show you some pictures of some of the cars we had actually had interviews with today, I have to tell you that this event was just unbelievable. Every year we come back here and we see the caliber of cars that are here that are really something special. I mean, Bruce Winterstrom just does an outstanding job with this event. And as you could see, the people that show their cars love coming here. As we're nearing the conclusion of our show, I hope everybody has enjoyed it as much as we have producing it. We just absolutely love coming to this event and seeing all these wonderful cars. And today's show was about the British automobile industry. And as you could see, they certainly built some absolutely gorgeous cars, and they're very sought after and very popular. Also, I want to thank our crew for always the outstanding work they do. It's never easy to try to cover the whole event, as we really strive to try to talk to as many people as we can, and sometimes it's just not easy to get everybody in the show, but we try our hardest. And I'll tell you, as far as a favorite car today, the AC Bristol really caught my attention. And I could certainly see what Carroll Shelby's attraction was to these absolutely gorgeous cars. They just typify what a sports car should look and feel like. Also, I want to remind everybody that to tune in next week, as we are always trying to show something new and something different. And coming to this event has really become really special to us. As we show you the setting here in the harbor at the event, I want to mention Ganya Winterstrom, Bruce's wife, of course, has passed away, but her memory will always be remembered. I could still see her smiling face, and you just know that all the work she's done here has just been outstanding. We wish everybody to say a prayer for our favorite person, Ganya. Thank you. We want to thank PBF, Pryor Brothers Fabricating in Berlin, Connecticut, for all their support and all the great things they do back at their shop. And also, we want to thank Mangelo's Wood-Fired Oven Pizza in Watertown for all their support and all the great things they're doing back at their restaurant. And also, and last of all, we want to thank Just Results Weight Loss Center in Bristol, Connecticut for all their support and great things they do. Special thanks to the Race in Action Today crew, Dwayne Cody, Bill Majak, David Seidlinger, Lisa Backus, and Daniel Kahn. And also a special thanks to our home station, Nutmeg TV, for all their support.